Hi there, it's me, Face.
And never you worry. Oh no! Never you fear.
With the Blockbuster Visa Bonus Box. The bonus box is yours free when you rent 3 videos. It's full of snacks, coupons, and more, plus a convenient way to apply for the Blockbuster Visa card, the credit card that allows you to earn free entertainment. So pick up your bonus box at Blockbuster while supplies last. How you get there is up to you.
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Pack up your stuff. I got a little surprise for you here.
Check it out. What do you think about that? We got real-time, 3D, lush organic environments. How's that make you feel, buddy?
Feel a little like your days are numbered?
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
You're hurting my elbow.
Welcome back to 90s March Madness. It's week 2, and the theme is Globe Trek Adventure Week. Though, considering the fact that the folks over my Patreon page decided to go with a superhero flick, there's a little bit of Globe Trek Adventure in it, and it's one I've been meaning to see for a long time, so why not? The Phantom was a daily comic strip that debuted in the late 1930s, and apparently has been ongoing as of this video. The idea of a superhero that walks like a ghost is interesting, and lends to many film opportunities, given a bulk of the series is set in the jungle. Of course, the character would be updated for modern times, but the Pulp Fiction tone is still there. With stuff like treasure hunting and fighting pirates, you'd think this would be great material for a full-length feature film. Well, it could work if placed in the right hands, or else you're gonna be laughing at something as opposed to laughing with it. But let's give this production some dignity. At least some. The 1990s was a perfect time for taking old properties and giving them a new life. It was done to classic monsters of literature and even superheroes. Some of them worked, and others appear like they were capitalizing on the laurels of some other successes at the time. The Phantom is an interesting case, given it has legs outside the comic world with some animated series, but it's not a major household name that is well known. But even then, the 1990s was a perfect time for this sort of thing. True, we could have had an adaptation in the 70s or the 80s, but the 1990s was the reintroduction period. A lot of old properties are being introduced to a new generation, and this would have been so ideal. And as mentioned earlier, if placed in the right hands, this could have worked. And the sad truth is, it almost did. Almost. In 1992, Gremlins director Joe Dante was attached to create a film version for Paramount Pictures. Him and writer Jeffrey Boehm got together and wrote a draft that was very tongue-in-cheek. It seems fitting given these two collaborated before on Inner Space, and I can see something like this working, knowing Dante's craft and how Boehm pays deep attention to character depth. Keep in mind, Jeffrey Boehm was the guy who saved the Lethal Weapon franchise. At least movies 1 to 3, and he also did Last Crusade, which is considered by many to be one of the best Indiana Jones movies. Arguably close or more to Raiders. However, Paramount decided to put the project on ice when The Shadow flopped, which was also a Pulp Fiction-style superhero movie that was created to A, cash in on Batman, and B, introduce this character to a whole new generation. When they decided to revive the project, Free Willy director Simon Windsor was brought on board, but they used Boehm's draft instead, with some minor rewrites here and there. According to Joe Dante, their vision was intended to be more of a spoof. So, when Windsor dusted off Jeffrey Boehm's script, he poured over key comedic elements that were meant to be funny, and instead decided to play them serious. And Dante's observation couldn't be more precise. as in my opinion, what we're left with is a movie that is so laughably bad that even I can't take it serious. I mean, look at the poster. This is your one big clue that you know exactly what you're going to be in for. I mean, seriously, the tagline says it all. Slam evil. Oh, gods! It opens with a quick origin story that is promising enough. A young boy escapes a raid by pirates, but he ends up on an island with friendly natives. Apparently, they happen to have this powerful skull ring in their possession, which grants the kid to be a masked Avenger called the Phantom. However, the boy we see in the opening is not the same Phantom that's depicted here. As it turns out, the Phantom is really a title passed down from one generation to the next, leading people to believe this is an immortal being. I like this idea of a character title being passed down from one generation to the next, with some kind of father and son theme attached to it, but there's one major problem. We are never told any scrap of this until the very end of the movie. I guess this information was held back so it could be considered this big twist. However, it makes the whole affair confusing, as we are led to believe this child in the opening will grow up to be Billy Zane. Speaking of which, let's get the Phantom out of the way. Billy Zane is a great character actor when you consider the amount of villain roles he performed. Even when he's over the top, Zane is always entertaining.
This cowboy shit! Fucking ho dunk, po dunk, well then there, motherfuckers!
I will give credit, this guy went as far to read the original comics to get an idea of the material, but something about him here feels miscast. On one hand, it's a nice change of pace to see him as a good guy. But again, this movie was originally intended as a comedy. So moments like this don't feel genuine when they are read with a straight face.
Not so fast. Why should I go with you?
Trust me, Diana.
You know my name?
This is a rescue.
Even when he's walking around in New York City under his alter ego Kit, it's even harder to take him more serious. At least when he's suited up, Billy Zane performs like a traditional action hero from the 1940s. But when he's Kit, I don't see him as this other ego like Clark Kent or Bruce Wayne. It's just the Phantom minus the purple suit. And of course, let's talk about that. The big thing newcomers can't seem to grasp is that the Phantom wears a purple suit. I watched this with a friend of mine, and the reactions were interesting to say the least. I respect that the filmmakers were trying to be close to the source material, and there are some elements of the suit that are kinda neat, like the black marking stitched in, but even I admit, when your hero is dressed up as a cross between the Hamburglar and the Grimace, you really need to turn your brain off in order to accept this. Believe me, I've heard all the criticisms, I could repeat every single one of them, and the bare minimum is this. For a character named the Ghost Who Walks, why choose a color for your suit that makes you stand out from everything else? Believe it or not, this infamous option to have the Phantom suit be purple goes all the way back to when the strip was first produced. Originally, the comic strip was seen in black and white on weekdays, but when it came to Sundays, it switched to color. The company that was syndicating the strip decided to have the Phantom suit be in purple because they felt it stood out more. A choice its creator, Lee Falk, did not like because he intended the Phantom suit to be gray. And even I admit that's a far better choice for one who has the extra title, The Ghost Who Walks. And to add even more confusion, the Phantom comic strip was syndicated outside of America would have the suit be colored differently depending on the regional location. Look, bottom line, the Phantom suit is purple, and we're stuck with it. It's either that or see what this movie would have been like if they had the infamous zebra striped Speedo added on. Pick your poison. And yes, I am aware some effects of the suit were done by the Jim Henson Creature Shop. Is that why this movie won in the polls? Look, I know I'm a big Jim Henson and Muppet buff, but I have other interests too outside of that. Anyway, what are the Phantom's big superpowers? Well, he punches people that leave a skull mark in their skin, and he can go undetected, despite obviously standing out. Oh, and he has the will to see the ghost of his father who helps him give advice. Well, that's quite useful for a ghost who walks.
Excuse me, Ghost who Walks.
Yes, Karen.
I thought I heard... Were you talking to somebody?
I read up that originally Bruce Campbell was in taps to play the Phantom before we went over to Billy Zane. Man, talk about a missed opportunity. Bruce Campbell is the one guy that can take a little B movie role and really fly with it. Even if you know him or don't, he really knows how to make the best out of material like this. I can easily see him in the suit and just having a blast. But no, all we get from Billy Zane is...
This is a rescue.
This is a rescue. The side characters are a mixed bag. Christy Swanson plays a love interest, Diana Palmer, who's supposed to end up with the Phantom in the end. I genuinely felt nothing for them. No chemistry, nothing to relate. And apparently a majority of their romance scenes they originally planned and shot were removed for pace. Her character is there just because she's an important part of the comics. I believe the chemistry between the Phantom and his own animal friends are more deeper than anything else. He has a horse named Hero and a wolf named Devil. How is it I'm more fascinated by this idea of a superhero being buddies with a trained wolf and horse is more than a romantic fling with an outsider? At least these two have more personality than our actual two leads. Not even Catherine Zeta-Jones as the leader of a group of airplane pirates has any effect. She just takes a group of people that Diana is hostage with, stands around, and does nothing until the very far end. I guess she has a change of heart, but it's not effectively felt. And this was 3 years before her career escalated after The Mask of Zorro. A much better Pulp Fiction action blockbuster, I might add. Aside from that, you get the standard trope of henchmen and nefarious pirates. One of them led by Kari Hiroki Tagawa, better known as Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat.
Congratulations. You pathetic doom fools are the first. Who are these people?
So many character actors either try to work with material they have, or they try too hard. Treat Williams plays the villain Drax in a manner that is so over the top, it's hilarious. Even when he's trying to play it straight, his 1940s-style accent gets in the way of important dialogue.
This skull is one of three. When all three skulls are united, they will produce a force more powerful than any army on Earth.
If anything, he's the real reason to see this movie. I remember cracking up hearing the smarmy style that he gave to his voice.
I am in such a good mood right now. I almost hate to mention this. Ah, the happy homecoming.
He sounds more like a used car salesman selling lemons than a tycoon that wants to take over the world. And apparently he has Saw-style booby traps. At least one of them where blades pop out of a microscope. Though later on, when someone doesn't agree with Drax's plans, he does this. Look, I'm clearly grasping at straws here. In order to break down exactly my true underwhelming feeling towards this thing, I would have to break it down scene by scene by scene. And even then, I don't think it's worth it. I mean, they try to jam-pack everything into this. There's a treasure hunt, Pirates of the Air, Pirates of the Sea, Trent Williams acting up, and a man running around dressed as the Grimace. You get this feeling that they tried to clump everything together, throw it at the wall, and see if it sticks. And regardless if little or all of Jeffrey Boehm's script was changed, it still doesn't hide the fact that here's a movie that's trying to be about something, and yet nothing feels accomplished. And with all due respect, I'm thankful that no bad production troubles happened, or if there are any behind-the-scenes stories of battling egos and things like that. From what I heard, it was a reasonably sound filmmaking experience, and everyone was cool with it. Cast and crew went in, did their thing, movie got filmed, then afterwards it was edited and scored, and then after test screenings it would be re-edited again, and then thrown onto the screen to the final result that we see. And just the fact that there's no big piece of production trivia I can dig up that's unique or fascinating to talk about clearly shows just how underwhelmed I am about this one. Anyway, the plot involves Drax trying to find a bunch of skulls that, when combined, provides the ultimate power. Oh gee, what could it be? To conquer the world? Alter time? Nope. When all 3 skulls are combined, it fires a laser beam that disintegrates people.
Ha! What a cheap jungle trick!
Of all the things they could have gone with. Supposedly, in the original Jeffrey Boehm script, the movie would have ended with the Phantom going up against a winged demon. But when this was being revived, out went the demon, and in with this. And, if I can be totally honest, I actually preferred that instead of laser beam skull thingy. It wouldn't have saved the movie entirely, but it would have made at least the last 10 minutes of the film something enduring. I mean, hell, even the diamond-powered laser at the end of the Congo is far more unique than this.
What about them?
Put him on the endangered species list.
So, the plot and characters are nothing special. What about the action? There's maybe 1 or 2 good scenes that I can pick from that are memorable. There's a sequence where the Phantom and Diana try to escape from a crashing biplane that's not half bad, and the chase scene in New York where the Phantom is pursued by cops on a motorcycle has some neat stunts. But that's about it. Most of the time, the staging of the scene is not well enough to feel any sense of tension. You don't feel any risk at play, and I can't figure out if it's how uninteresting the sets appear, or just how the action scenes are planned out and staged. With the exception of those 2 action set pieces as mentioned, okay, that bit as well. The rest of the movie is just a 90-minute stunt show. It performs and then leaves. But unlike a live stunt show, say at an amusement park or circus, you really don't feel for your characters, and as a result, you just let the scene play out until it just concludes. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, given the same director also did episodes of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Man, first Jeffrey Boehm and now Simon Windsor, it all comes back to the better Treasure Hunt franchise that you really should be watching. When The Phantom was released in the summer of 1986, it bombed at the box office. And can you blame it when it was going up against other highly anticipated summer blockbuster flicks like Independence Day, the first Mission Impossible movie, The Cable Guy, Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame, and also The Rock. But funny enough, when it was released on home video, it surprisingly got a cult following and did very well there. So as you can imagine, for me, it's a pure head-scratcher to see exactly why it has such a following. The comedic dialogue is spoken in a manner that is too funny to be taken seriously, the action scenes are not that impressive, and it doesn't carry the visual flair that other adventure movies had. It's not the worst movie I've seen, and if they made an attempt to reboot it today, I'd be all for it. I know the Sci-Fi Channel did an attempt, and, well, I didn't catch it, and judging from what I heard, I probably won't see that one. Here, it's a case where the project just fell into the wrong hands at the wrong time. And it says a lot when the least of my troubles is when your hero dons a purple suit. Sure, give him any design, but at least put him in a movie that's intentionally entertaining and not something you're laughing at. Final verdict? Skip it. Unless you want unintended comedy. In my opinion, if you want a good Pulp Fiction superhero movie, go watch The Rocketeer. Because it says a lot when you have something that's made with pure love and care, as opposed to something, regardless being respectful to its source material, comes out feeling uneven and rather underwhelmingly forgettable. But hey, don't take my word for it. This movie has a cult following. Maybe not big enough for a special Blu-ray release, but at least enough for this stuff. Well, anyway, let's hope next week's movie is better. See you in the next upload. Midway through 90s March Madness, and it's only begun. Even if it is week 2. See you next time. Cut. Okay, so normally here I have like a little gag clip or a stinger at the end, but given my thoughts towards this movie, you deserve something better. And there's a story I have to tell. This goes all the way back to 2012. This is when I was in college and feeling a little fatigued and down and out. And there was a point when my local comic shop, That's Entertainment, was doing Free Comic Book Day. And this was the first one I ever attended. And usually they would give out like free comic books, and they'd have some actual freelance artists come by and like do like little sketches and doodles at your request. I don't think it's free anymore, it's paid, but regardless, one of the folks in attendance was Paul Ryan. And if you don't know him, he's really big in the comic book industry. He did some work for Marvel, DC, but most importantly, from 2005 all the way to his death in 2016, he worked on syndicated strips for the Phantom. He was a penciler for the Fantastic Four comics in the early 90s, and one of my favorite characters was Ben Grimm, so I requested him to do a little sketch of Ben Grimm. I wish I knew he did the Phantom. That would have been like perfect to have, but just knowing someone connected to an ongoing comic series, especially one who lived in Massachusetts, the same state I live in, is just so exciting and unique. But I will never forget that encounter with him. It was very magical, very special. When he asked what my name was so he could, autograph this piece, very, very beautiful piece, by the way, he asked me what was my name. I just sort of said in a bit of a shrug, Morgan Ledger, kind of like, it's not really a name, it's, kind of like that. And I will never forget what he said to me. He looked up and with this bit of like premonition or realization, he looked straight at me and said, "Oh, Morgan Ledger. That sounds like the name of a writer." What else can I say? Thanks, Paul.
Stanley Ipkiss was your average nice guy. Yeah. Until he came face to face with a mask. Okay. Now he's America's looniest human cartoon.
Thank you very much.
He's slap happy. That's not hurt. Eye-popping crazy.
Somebody stop me!
He's Jim Carrey in The Mask.